Welcome to, what is this, the fourth episode of the MMR Off the Air podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit about band versus choir and a little bit about some arts funding. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. And if you haven't heard, last week MMR dropped their rap hip-hop sampler called Asunder. So go ahead to moremediarecords.com and give that a listen right now. That's MOORE mediarecords.com. Right here, if you're watching on YouTube, we got the album art up on the screen for you. By the way, plug the YouTube. I don't know what the YouTube is, but
it is More Media Records.
More Media Records.
Yes.
And go give that a look because it's awesome. Anyways, we're going to dive into the topic. Choir versus band.
Choir.
Yeah, that's the thing is we're split even here. We've got two choir kids and two band kids.
Yeah, Robbie and I are the band kids and
band nerds.
Band nerds, my bad.
We
are the choir kids.
The choir kids.
This one time at band camp, I'm just kidding.
Does anybody actually have one of those? Do you have one of those stories?
Do you actually?
No, not appropriate ones. No.
Oh, geez.
Well, it doesn't always have to be appropriate, is the thing.
Do you have any?
Because I did do
camps?
band camp as a member of the color guard.
Oh, that's true.
Not really. Not that I can think of, but they might just be really repressed.
That's true.
That's usually how those stories
I was talking with one of
are.
my band friends today, and it's like marching band kind of brings out sides of you that you didn't know that you had. It really does.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a cult. At my school, I felt a very odd energy shift when I walked through the band doors. I mean, choir was a bit of a cult too, but it was a very different energy. Like,
yeah, for sure.
No, marching band definitely has that energy because it's just a bunch of sweaty kids on a field.
Yeah.
And
for hours.
Especially when you go back to the band room. It's free game.
Yeah, but
it's
choir
wild.
is just a bunch of sweaty kids on stage. Like, it's no different.
There's something different about being on the field with those sweaty kids, though, that change you.
It changes you as a person.
You just get new stories from that, and they get repressed.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a new tired. It's a tired you didn't know you could experience because you're tired, but you just have to still, like, work physically.
You're that tired, but there's so much more room for chaos.
Yeah.
Like, you're there for so long.
And the amount of energy that you get from other people, and it's...
True.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's an experience.
And this is why band is better.
False. I disagree.
Band geeks!
All right.
I liked my choir experience. I was fortunate enough to have the same choir teacher for 7 years.
Wow.
Love
That's
Julia
crazy.
Holt. I hope she's
Shout out
watching.
Julia.
Well, no, Miss Holt, sorry. Her class was amazing, and she followed me from middle school to high school. I wanted to do audition choirs like later in my high school career, and I tried out for them, and I got them, and I was so happy to be a part of like the huge choir community at Eisenhower.
How big is your choir?
Our choir, well, it's broken up into different choirs. We had like a non-auditioned choir, women's chorus, which you had to try out for, and then show choir, which you had to try out for. Show choir was about 25 kids, I want to say. Women's chorus was about 40, and then the non-auditioned choir was like 90.
Whoa.
And it was like...
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
We have gotten so many new choir kids at our school that my teacher stopped teaching at the middle school and has taken on high school full term, and there have been more choirs like produced because of it. I honestly don't know everything about the choir system now because we got 2 new choirs.
We had something really similar happen while I was in high school. We went from... the program, I think, increased by something stupid, like 15 or 20%.
That's crazy. Wow.
When I was a freshman, there were 4 groups, and when I graduated, there were 5. It was the whole arts department, like, grew like that. While in those 4 years, it was insane.
That's very cool.
Can we talk numbers real quick for band and like what makes a small like how many kids is a small choir opposed to like how many kids is a small band?
How many people were in your marching band?
There were about 40 kids in my marching band, so
That's
it
small.
was really small.
Oh, that's pretty small.
But for like the amount of students at the school, it was normal sized.
Our biggest choir had more kids than that.
That is.
Yeah, our biggest choir
I
had
feel
way
like
more
our
kids
choir-
than that.
Our second level choir had like 60.
Wow.
We had a lot of kids. Our non-audition group was so big that they had to split it into 2 class periods of like 50 or 60 kids.
Same here. That was how
I
it was.
wish my band program was that big.
Yeah, our band program was pretty comparatively big too.
We had like,
wow.
For my first like 3 years of high school, we had, I think, 130 to 150 kids on our marching band.
130 to 150.
So I come from a relatively, like a really small school then, opposed to you guys. Oh, wow.
But I mean, it also depends on the numbers that you have at your school, like in total, not just in the arts department and not just in choir or band. And did you ever know any kids that overlapped? I know you're an overlapper, and I had quite a few friends that overlapped.
I know a bunch of kids.
I know, I have a lot of friends that also overlap and still do currently.
Yeah, and if it wasn't band and choir, it was like something else in the arts department, you know, like the theater and orchestra kids.
Right, yeah.
Definitely.
A lot of choir students do like theater.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Hi, that's me.
Theater kid.
Yeah.
Gang.
It was fun.
Theater versus choir.
Yeah, my senior year, I was in the chamber choir group, and I was like the only kid in the entire choir that wasn't in the musical. It was insane.
Wow.
The entire group.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that for us. I mean, a lot of show choir kids were in the show, as it is a show choir. But not everybody, not by any means. The smallest ensemble I ever performed in was 6 people, but I don't even know if you would consider that a choir.
I'd consider that like just an ensemble, I guess.
Wait, we didn't even talk about what we all do, because I know for like choir there's different.
We need to talk about our
tones.
parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what did you do in band?
I was a percussionist and I was on drumline.
All right,
Oh yeah.
now let's move to the
We're
choir.
both altos. We've discussed that.
Oh, you both are altos?
Yep.
And we're
Alto
both
club.
alto twos, I believe. Yeah.
Whoa.
Contraltos,
Yeah,
shall
my
I
senior
say.
year, I was an alto tenor swing.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool.
That means if they needed extra people, I'd hop on the boys' part.
okay.
Oh yeah. They did that with us too. I like tried out for the tenor part for the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only happened a couple times, and the only reason it did happen was because I did high school a cappella,
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
and it wasn't the most fun.
No.
But I mean, the music was fun, but like we'd compete and people would get really serious.
Ooh.
Which like
So
I'm
this
very
was like actual
yeah.
Glee stuff. So like
I mean,
no, Pitch Perfect is what I mean. Like
okay, my choir teacher always got super angry about that because people would audition thinking that like you just show up and music happens. Like no, we rehearsed for like 4 months ahead of ICHSA
Oh my
competitions, and then we'd compete, and most groups would get cut out in the first round.
People think marching band is like the drumline movie.
yeah, I actually haven't seen that movie, but like I hear that it's like compared to a lot, and everybody hates it because of
Yeah,
that.
nothing like actual marching band at all.
Ooh, no. I actually played trumpet and other brass instruments, so
Very cool.
kind of.
Trumpet. Okay.
What do
I
you mean?
played trumpet too. I will stand up for you. I like the
Yes.
trumpet.
Hey, what's up with that?
The trumpet?
Like universal band kid dislike of the trumpet section,
I don't know.
or just the
They're-
brass
I
in
think it's-
general?
Everybody thinks that the trumpets have a big ego,
ego,
when
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't. We
Well,
don't.
it depends on the.
We're just
on the
confident.
trumpet.
That's what we are.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We're confident because we know we're good.
I know, but like my band director used to yell at our trumpets because all of them would sit like slouched back with their like legs crossed and just sit there and play, just like this, very relaxed. But it'd be perfect. Like they'd play it and they'd be like,
Oh
"Yeah,
my
I play like this."
gosh.
They'd be like, "No, you have to sit up." They'd be like, "Why?" Does it make a difference?
I can play it normally like this, so why can't I do that?
Wow. So you got some sassy trumpets, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
Okay.
If
Egotistical.
your trumpets aren't sassy, there's something wrong.
Right.
that's true. That's true. I can
So
agree with that.
I never played in a band. I only took trumpet lessons. I mean, 6th grade if you count that band. But like,
Beginner band. What a time to be alive.
Hot cross buns.
Yeah.
did you stick with your original band instrument?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was this close to doing
Wow.
saxophone. I was like, I changed my mind, and she was like, "You can't change your mind." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh.
For the most part, I stick with it. I think it was like 7th grade. The band teacher kind of sat me down. He tried out all the instruments, tried the trumpet, and he was like, "You sound amazing." And so I never went back.
Were you ever not an alto?
Okay, so for women's chorus, she got experimental and she decided to move us around. So I got to perform as a soprano 1, a soprano 2, and an alto 1 and an alto 2. And it was a lovely experience. But no, every year since 7th grade, I've like literally sat on the end seat, the farthest alto 2, always. Just.
Were you guys on the left? I always think that's really interesting.
We were on
Oh yeah, I
the
didn't
left,
think about
yep.
the formations.
We went.
So were we. Okay.
Did you put your soprano 1s in between your soprano 2s?
No.
That's what she did for
We
us.
put our
every
soprano
once in a
2s in the
while.
middle.
It was
I always thought that was interesting, being at festival and trying to hear
where they
which
are.
side
Yeah,
of
definitely.
the yeah.
I always picked up on the alto part, and to this day, when I'm singing music, actually, my roommate is dating someone that was in my choir but didn't meet through me. So we'll talk about choir all the time, and he always hears the higher part in music, like. When he's listening to the Beatles, he'll sing the higher harmony, and I will sing the lower harmony. Like, even to this day, my ear just picks it out. But so I always knew where the
Is there a
notes
certain
were.
way that choir will arrange, like, the altos and tenors in order to get a certain sound, like, on the stage?
I think this is something that varies by group a lot, because we
Yeah.
had this super weird system that I've talked to other people about, and they're like, "What were you
Yeah,
guys
band is
doing?"
the same way.
Were the basses behind you?
No, we did it rows all the way across. So it would be alto 2s, alto 1s, soprano 2s, or no, I was in women's choir, so I'm confused. Hold on. Alto 2s, alto 1s, basses, tenors, or tenors, basses, depending on the show, actually. Yeah, because sometimes if the
Wow.
music changed, she'd change our arrangement. But at the beginning of the year, what she'd do is she'd have like all the altos stand in a straight line and sing like row, row, row your boat. Did you do this
Yep.
too?
And
she'd move us around until the color was what she wanted it to be.
exactly. That's exactly
And then like
how my
stack
teacher
us so
did
that it stayed the same.
Did your teacher get a degree at Michigan State?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh my
probably why.
That's nuts.
They all do that because we had other choir teachers come in and talk to us and like help us with our pieces that Miss Holt had already taught us, and all the teachers that were from state all did the row, row, row your boat.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. So was that kind of like your guys' seating arrangement, kind of like first chair, second chair type thing?
We don't.
Hey, I don't understand that.
That's not
Oh.
something I understand.
So there's not
either.
like, oh, you're the best alto. you're
No,
standing
absolutely
here.
not.
No. I
Oh,
mean,
that-
if
then
you're
it's
the
not
best
gonna,
alto,
like-
they would know.
If
They-
that happened in the choir department, there would be meltdowns.
That's very
No,
true.
that is what makes the band program, in
Yeah.
my opinion, is kind of like striving to be that first chair.
Right.
It's just like something that you have to actually work for. And so like every week, my band director would take us. Every person would he would like pick out a certain part of the song for each section, and go, you have to play this part. And so everybody plays that part, and whoever he thinks did the best or sounded the best on it, he would put at first chair. So you really had to like work at every single piece and know all your parts to be first chair.
And it was like a one-time thing. Like he took.
Yeah, every week. And then the
Yeah.
week before competition, we would do the final one, and like everybody would cry during that one.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't know why people cried during it, but like
And like, well, did he ever do like? I know my band director would just take a random piece of music and be like, "All right, play this."
Oh.
And you just have to sight read it. Whoever sight reads it the best gets first chair.
That's
Wow.
scary. That's
Yeah.
a whole new level.
Yeah.
Sight reading.
I
was
wish we
very
would have done
basic.
that.
Yeah,
would've been
that's
cool.
something I
crazy.
wanted to talk about is band kids can sight read, but I think choir kids can only
Oh,
fake
no.
sight read.
Yeah, it
what?
is.
No, there is no sight reading for me. I can't sight read.
You can't
Really?
sight read.
No.
I'm better at sight reading than I am playing music.
No. Like, I know all the notes. I know, like, how the rhythm should be going. But I just have to sit down in a practice room and study this piece for a while before I can just go on stage and perform it.
Wow.
It's like kind of building up my confidence in the
Yeah.
piece before I can play it properly, you
Okay.
know?
I think
I feel
because I'm a
like-
percussionist, like that's opposite. We don't really.
That's an
care.
entirely different thing too. That you're reading music in an entirely different way than we
Yeah,
are.
that and a lot of percussionists don't necessarily have like stage anxiety
Yeah.
because we're very laid back people. We don't really care.
Most of you are.
Most of us. Yeah.
So, anything about the arts. Y'all are about the arts. Did you want to talk about funding of the arts by chance?
Arts funding is probably my favorite topic. I'm so heated about this.
Okay, because obviously we're very invested in it.
Our majors are
Oh yes,
BCA.
Everybody here is a BCA major, and
Yeah, and we all come from a music background. Some of us for a
Yes.
really long time.
yes,
Yeah.
and you know that discussion we just had. It shows how much you care when everybody gets little excitement bits from hearing a word.
Oh, real quick, I have a story.
All
so
right.
one time, it wasn't at band camp, but it was like in 8th grade band. And
One time not at band camp.
we ended up, me and a group of my friends were like really close with our band director. And so she would always ask us to do like certain tasks that she wouldn't trust other kids to do. And one time we were in her room literally counting like stacks of money for some sort of like trip or like something. I forget what, but it was just stacks of money. And in like walking in is the dean of students just like opens the door and there's 3 of us there.
my God.
So we're all just like counting stacks of like hundreds from all these parents. And like we all look up and he's just looking at us and we look back at our director and we're like,
Wow.
It looks like some kind of undercover operation.
And it was like in the back of her office. So it was like the door was closed. All the other kids are out there. And we're just kind of sitting back there counting money.
Did you get in trouble? Did
no,
they get in trouble?
She obviously had to like explain what was going on. We were just helping. But it like looked really sketchy because he just walked in unannounced and sees that. And we were like, oh, hey.
And it's the drum line, so you can't trust them,
Well,
right?
it wasn't the drum line. It was like me and 2 of my close friends. Just kind of, because it was in band class.
Okay.
So.
I would have freaked out a little bit, to be honest. Like, I would have been like, it's not like, not
So
what
that's
it
what
would
we
have
were
looked
like.
like.
We were like, no. Running a like underground drug company through the band program.
Oh, jeez.
And that's how they get their
Yeah,
funding.
exactly.
And
Speaking of how they get their funding, did you guys do fundraisers?
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Fundraisers were just a huge part of my arts experience. We were
Really?
constantly talking about fundraising and our next fundraiser and the fundraiser that
Yeah.
we're working on. Cause,
Did you have a booster board?
our band had a booster.
Yeah.
But we had like an organization for arts. It was NCAC.
Oh wow.
But it like faded out before I even got into high school. It still technically exists, but they don't meet that often and they don't do that much. The band has a boosters program. I know our middle school theater director pushed really hard for a theater boosters program,
Yeah.
but the choir doesn't have one.
Wow. No, for fundraising in my band, I was actually the drum major my senior year. And I started a lot of the fundraisers because we weren't getting funding. Like, I started
kinda
making
cool.
sweatshirts for my band.
Yeah.
Right.
And went bowling with them, like talked to the owners of the bowling alley about it. And just like, I was the one that started all the fundraising. There was a boosters, but they didn't really fundraise for us.
I honestly went to a pretty well-off school, and like the funding was pretty good. We had to buy our own uniforms, like our dresses and such, and we also got the opportunity every year to go on a class trip. I was lucky enough to attend all 3. So there was one to Chicago, one to New York City, and one to Disney. So
we did stuff like that
Wow.
too in band.
Yeah, we
That
did one
was-
of
I
those.
wish.
that was all I
Your band didn't do
fundraised
that?
for.
No, we didn't have the funds for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, we were a smaller band, so it would have been cheaper.
Right.
But we just couldn't get the fundraising for it.
Yeah. I loved those programs. They really sent us like to New York City to go see Dear Evan
Yeah.
Hansen. They really like showed us Hamilton. Like they really
Yeah, I got to see The Lion King.
ooh.
Have you guys heard of the?
But the thing is, we paid for that trip.
Yeah,
I paid a lot of money for that trip.
yeah.
we did
Oh, so
too, but
y'all
we
had to pay like
fundraised.
out of pocket each.
Yeah.
to
We did
go on that trip.
fundraising and then paid out of
Right.
pocket.
Yeah. So it's like you could
Oh.
fundraise and that would go towards like your account
Yeah.
basically.
Okay.
And then the rest you'd pay off.
Yeah, but it was a lot. I think my trip was like 1,500. I know. I
Yeah, mine was
fundraised
like
my
that.
butt off for like a month, and we did like classic for choir. We did classic like door to door, selling
Wow.
pastry fundraising.
Did you
For-
do chocolate bars?
We
Box of
had
chocolate bars.
the Century
classic.
Resource fundraising kit. So it was like cookie doughs, cheesecakes.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I would buy
except they were
that.
really over expensive.
Yeah, that
I'd
was how
just
it
buy
was
my
with
own
ours.
cheesecake.
For
So-
real.
Outside of personal fun trips and stuff, do you think your school needed more funding? Do you think you needed more funding for your arts program?
Definitely for my arts program, because my 7th grade band teacher actually got fired between 7th and 8th grade, and I got a new one 8th grade year till like present. And when he did get fired, he stole about half the music library.
Oh my God.
And at least 90% of the instruments.
Oh.
We didn't have euphoniums, like they were all stolen. So like when my freshman year when I was in band, we started off from scratch. We had like 20 kids. It was really sparse.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
We were talking to the school district about getting funding, but they always said no. Like, you're too small right now. But now it's 60 kids and they're still not getting funded.
So we should really be looking out for schools like yours that don't have the funding.
And it is going down. Let me see what I've got here.
What is going down?
Funding overall.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 42% of all funding comes from individual giving, and then like another 41 comes from like money earned from the arts, so like ticket sales for concerts.
Oh,
and
really?
That was one of the
know
huge
that.
things, is that our concerts, it was like $3 a ticket,
Right.
but those $3 a ticket times how many
Right.
parents.
Yeah.
So go support.
Yes.
Go to concerts. See your local choirs and bands. All of it.
Mostly your bands.
but
Mostly your choirs, I guess, if we're going to beef like that.
But one part about the music program and the arts programs that I did research, I researched it for a paper, but most of it comes from funding from the cities. Is that correct?
I actually have here that 4% of all arts funding comes from public sources.
Really?
Yeah. Ours
As
wasn't
of
funded by the city.
2014, I did see it just I flicked past it real quick, but I did see something about it going up since 2018.
All right.
Yeah.
But up from 4%.
Yeah, 4% is not going to be a very...
We had my school had like a board of like parents and stuff that would go out and would like reach out to different sort of, I guess, like sponsors for us. So like we have trailer sponsors for our marching band that like we put their logo on our trailer and they give us money. And then other sorts of like certain deals with fundraisers and certain deals with other things. But for us like the students didn't really have to do that much.
Right. Well, I hope no student should ever have to search for funds for their art department.
In the future.
Yeah, let's get those Disney trips paid for, am I right?
Paid for. Yes. I've loved discussing this topic with you
Yeah.
all.
Heck
Thank
yeah.
you for
Especially talking about school funding. It was
Yeah.
probably
Great
one of my
conversation.
favorite issues to like discuss and talk about.
for sure.
And just
Yeah.
always a pleasure.
And this is our last one of the semester.
Last one
Signing
of the
off.
semester. And
Peace and love.
guys, don't forget to go to moremediarecords.com, MOORE records.com, or wait, more
Yes.
more media records or more
Media records.
moremediarecords.com. Check out Asunder. You guys are gonna love it. And signing off. This was Off the Air, and we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.